What's up, y'all? It's Lone Wolf. So tonight, decided to do a quick video. This one's not gonna be very long, but I decided to call this video "Feeding Light Blue and Addiction." Okay, so I decided to use the example of Paul Doyle, and I don't use examples very much out of like the news. Okay, but I saw this thing about Paul Doyle where he had 134 victims because he decided to basically plow through an entire crowd of people at a parade. Okay, I decided to do this because I looked into it, and so this one here, 54-year-old man, basically his neighbors had always said he was a pretty good guy. 32 blameless years of education and hard work, man who avoided drugs and alcohol, but who loved the outdoors. Although, let me add that they also said that he was not under the influence of alcohol when this happened. Okay, so he has a history. I'm trying to find it. I'm on the news ad right now that Doyle, he bit a sailor's ear off at one point. Okay, so this happened. It looks like it happened at a pub, so alcohol was involved. Okay, so it's from one perspective it says alcohol was an influence. Another aspect of his history says that alcohol was a contributing factor. Okay, and I pray for this man. Okay, like I know right when this recent thing that I saw in the news that he said, you know, my life is ruined, and it's like, well, I mean, you made a decision that was not very wise. It wasn't wise, so you ended up making a decision that affected the rest of your life. Okay, and this is what can happen to you if you are used to feeding light blue and you have something like alcohol along with it, and you don't have that in check and in control, and you have an uncontrolled snake when it comes to addictions in light blue. Okay, so if your snake is uncontrolled and you have a contributing factor that could be an addiction like that, and maybe it should be more of substances than addiction, but addiction and substance is hand in hand. Okay, so looks like he had another issue with the military conviction for assault, criminal damage, and using violence against a superior officer. Okay, he'd also been convicted of another GBH offense over a drunken nightclub brawl. So he's got another one where it's like, okay, like alcohol was involved. Okay, so they've got this thing that says so it says that the dashboard camera showed that he was screaming obscenities at his innocent victims as they thud against his car. Okay, but after his release from prison in '94, he basically went under a remarkable transformation. So a lot of it was he probably had his addiction under control of alcohol. I don't know if he was actually an alcoholic or not, but given the fact alcohol was a trigger for his light blue, it's pretty evident there. Okay, and it could be that maybe I'm wrong. Okay, and that maybe alcohol wasn't contributing to his light blue. He just did not have control of light blue, and alcohol makes it worse. Okay, so it's a something that ramps it up for him where he's not able to control it, and it's a state of mind issue. So once again, we're going back to state of mind and mode of being. Okay, so his state of mind, alcohol can affect your state of mind to where your mode of being is way off center. Okay, and the more you feed your light blue off center like that, the more comfortable you are with letting it out and letting it go uncontrolled, which isn't good. Okay, so I was looking through this, okay, and this showed that he was lying in some of the police interviews where he was saying that someone had a knife, someone threw a bottle at him, and he also said that he stopped as soon as he realized he had struck someone. Well, it's also untrue, it says, but it also said there was people that were still underneath his car when somebody broke in through his window and stuffed it in the park. Okay, so this is a huge tragedy. Thankfully, nobody died. That's what I saw. I haven't researched that far into it, but it doesn't seem like he went down for any sort of murder, so nobody died. Okay, which is very good that nobody died. So God must have had his hand over that situation to a certain extent that we see. Okay, but I looked at it and I was like, okay, well, feeding light blue and substances go hand in hand, where if you feed light blue and you have a substance in you, you have less control over or constraint over shifting and flipping into it and having issues. Okay, so a lot of people said this man was very kind. He really kind of stayed out of trouble for 30 years, but his criminal record hinted an explosive and violent temper. So he has. These are the people that I kind of call on a switch. Okay, like there's some people out there that they have light blue on a switch, which to have light blue on a switch also can mean you're a control monster. Okay, so like you have that capability to be that, but you're not. Okay, and so I'm not saying that in a bad or good regard. It's just simply that. So it's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a thing. Okay, it just is. It's not good or bad or positive, negative. It just is. To have it on a switch, it's a good thing. To even have it on the switch is also a bad thing. So maybe it's a positive and negative thing at the same time. Okay, so kind of looking at it, I'm like, okay. It said that he wasn't under any influence of alcohol and drugs. I did see he had kind of a red face when he went in, but the footages that I saw, I'm like, okay, well, when was this shot? When was this taken? Okay, and what I think happened here, okay, is I don't think he was on alcohol that night, but I think that maybe he went out for a drink with his buddies or something happened shortly before that, which technically it's almost like it loosens your control over resisting feeding it. Maybe I'm onto something there, but if you have a problem with alcohol, a problem with anger, or you just have a problem with anger, okay, like, and this is a dark seed that was in the man that he never. I think that he could have reached into the Bible and pulled out, but I'm sure that maybe he went to some therapy and dealt with it. So you can go to therapy and you can deal with your anger issues, and that's good. That's good. But getting wisdom and going into the light and going into the Word of God to remove that seed and continuously working on it is also a very effective thing, and those should be hand in hand. Therapy and reaching into the Word of God. Okay, so it goes hand in hand with itself. It's two things that you should be doing together. Okay, he had this anger episode, and it could be, I don't know what color this dude was in. He could have been in, a green energy and I'm just doing this. But realistically speaking, it was probably more of light blue if you're going to keep on going and plummeting through an entire crowd of people, okay? And to the extent, which was 2 minutes worth of him driving through people, that's a lot. That's not saying that somebody's in green. You're in light blue, okay? So I was looking at this too, and he also said that it took him a while to really come to grips with what he did. And that also kind of told me that maybe he was stuck in that energy for a while after it happened, and he's just like in light blue and just I'm all over the place. And it took him a while to come out of it, and that's when he pleaded guilty to all charges, okay? So he lied about this and this and that, but then he ended up pleading guilty to all charges and just I did this, okay? Like it was screwed up, okay? I ruined my whole life. So a certain point of me says that, he came to terms with it and went, you know what, I'm not going to lie about this. Like I did this and this wasn't good. Like, so time has a factor on cooling off from light blue energy. So that's why a lot of people, when you're like super mad and like say you're going to get in a fight with somebody or something goes down, okay, like a lot of people are like, you need to go take a chill pill and go take a breather and go for a walk or something, okay? You need to take some time and chill out and calm down. And most people in light blue do not want to hear those two words. Calm down. You do not want to hear those two words when you're in light blue. When you're in light blue, someone tells you to calm down, you're going to escalate it and have less control over it. So a lot of people, I think there's another way to handle that, and I'm exploring that, okay? Not with myself where I'm like, I'm going into light blue, I'm going to see what words take me out. Well, I mean, I guess I could, what words take me out of it, but that's kind of weird. But I don't really, light blue isn't something that I like to be, like, something can trigger me where I'm like, dude, like, this is going to piss me off. But it's more of like a state of green where I'm like, it's kind of just like I'm just pissed, but I can manage it. Like I can walk away and just go drink some water at the very least and just calm down and go, maybe even go look in the mirror and reflect on yourself. And I think that's one way that you can come out of light blue is maybe you look at yourself in the mirror and go, hold on a second, like, is this who I am right here? Like what's going on here? Repentance is another thing where you just, lean on God and just like, okay, like, I'm mad, but I can come out of it. This is a point where it's like this dude was screaming obscenities at people and hitting them and stuff, and it's like, hold on a second, like this dude, he had a dark seed that was in him for a long time that was repressed, okay? So if he may have had issues with it in between those 30 years, okay, I don't know. And generally he probably struggled with it a bit. He may have been in therapy, I don't really know. But I can tell you that he obviously had his dark seed in check, but he had not uprooted it and taken it out of him. And really, when you do that, you have to stay in the Word of God, because you can it'll change you when you take a dark seed out and it's something that's been there for a long time, like the seed of fear, seed of greed, seed of anger. These seeds that are roots root causes to certain other things, okay, which can sprout into other issues like addiction and this and that. Like, people can go into light blue and they're like, I'm just going to drink to feel better, and it's like sometimes they drink to get even worse, and they start punching walls and doing that, and it's like, it's not very smart, okay? If you get so pissed off that you're in light blue and you know you have a seed of anger in you, it is very, very smart to avoid any substance around you and take a chill pill and drink a glass of water, okay? And that's coming from someone I don't really like. I'm more of a coffee dude where I'm like, oh, I love my coffee, but take a chill pill, drink some water, and reflect on yourself where you're like, okay, I'm pissed, okay? Like, why is it foolish and wise that I'm acting this way, okay? Or that I'm feeling this. Even if you don't act on it and you just feel it, okay, I'm feeling this in here. Like, why am I feeling this in here? Well, I got this unchecked dark seed in here that I'm trying to remove. Dark seed of anger and resentment and betrayal. It all leads back to that in a way. Well, where were you, where did his dark seed start? I don't know. Okay, it could have started over something that somebody called him, some sort of a name or something like that, and it just, or something significant happened in his past that put him into a light blue state where he's not able to really like, he doesn't understand where it started, but it's just there, and he's just living with that seed in him, and he struggled for years, and he repressed it with therapy, but he didn't remove it with the Word of God, okay? So God can help you, Jesus can help you remove those seeds, okay? That's just one of them things. Jesus can help you remove some of those seeds, okay? And when you really look at his situation and you see where he's like, I completely ruined my life, that was where the point came where he started to have the self-reflection, and he went, oh dude, like, I didn't come to terms with what I just did. And a lot of it was because he was probably trying to dodge the accountability of it, okay? And I feel bad for this man. I pray for this man, Paul Doyle. And the reason is because, yes, he has to pay for the crime that he did, and he basically, yes, he did ruin his life for it. But I pray that that he finds the necessary wisdom while paying for his crime, that he's able to find peace, okay? And what I mean by peace is maybe he's able to remove that seed when he's in there, and maybe your life is affected to a certain extent because of your actions, but life doesn't have to be living with that seed and having light blue in you, okay? It doesn't have to be that way all the time. So you can remove that seed and you can feel better, okay? You can live a cleaner life where you're not feeling like you're hit by this just energy and you're like, like it's not there. You take that seed out of you. Essentially, it's its own demon if you think about it. He has his own demon that he's battling with. That's one way people could see it. You're fighting with light blue, you're fighting with your own dark seed, you're fighting with your own demon. And that demon was created because of some sort of event that triggered something, that triggered a dark seed to be planted in that man's mind, okay? So he repressed it, but while it was being repressed, it also it sprouted. And it could be that something happened to him behind the wheel before that happened that set him into light blue, and he just started gas foot to the floor and just went through him. And something I thought about, okay, was he said that someone threw a bottle at him, okay, at his car. And it was saying, oh, well, that was untrue. Maybe it wasn't too, okay? And I'm not saying, I'm not going to jump in between this and be some guy sitting in court going, oh, this is, I advocate for this. I'm not advocating for anything. I'm saying it could have been something that one of those people in that crowd said to him that triggered that dark seed in him, that he decided to go ahead and do that. And it could be that he had one little trigger that happened to him that was, and he had alcohol maybe a week before, okay? And so he had even a slightly less grip on his control, and one thing set it off, and he just went, foot to the floor, okay? I don't know the whole story. Only God knows the whole story, okay? Only God knows the whole story. And that's something that I think that even himself would probably agree on after reflection, or somebody that did something like that after reflection, is that I only know so much about myself that God sees me from a different lens in his eye. So only God knows how it played out in the spiritual, okay, and in the physical, and how that metaphysical spiritual connects, okay? We only understand the world so much, but what I see with this, a lot of people saw this ruthless, man, or this good man that, that snapped on a whim, and it's like, well, his light blue was on a switch. It was repressed, but his dark seed wasn't removed, okay? And that's something that we should probably think about, in our daily lives, okay? Where it's like, okay, well, maybe something happened to you when you was younger, or that, you know, maybe because, you know, this all happened to him and he had a 30-year stretch where he was good, apparently, okay? And something ticked this dude off where he bit a sailor's ear off, and, you know, and he's fighting in pubs and clubs and doing this, and it's like, okay, well, there's something. It reminds me of a story, okay? And this is a story I'm going to use of a dude that I used to know. He used to fight all the time. He fought me, bro. And I didn't even do nothing to him. Well, kind of. I guess I was dating his girlfriend at the time. And he just kind of snapped. I didn't even expect nothing because I wasn't really even dating her after that. Dude just speared me up against a rock. And I was like, damn, like, he went ham on me, but he stopped and he just kind of looked at me and he's like, you know, walked away. He was pissed, but there was some alcohol involved, I think, and maybe some weed, something like that. But like, he lost it, and I was like, dude, I got love for you, man. Like, I always loved this dude as a friend, okay? I always loved him as a friend. And he was always cool with me. He wasn't really... Yeah, he was a little rough around the edges, man. He was just like that. You could kind of tell that maybe that night he had a couple beers or something like that, and he ran to me and he's like, oh, you know, you dated my ex, and like, oh, boom, right up against the rock. And, you know, it was before I had my back injury, so this is when I was younger. This was actually probably one of the first back injuries I had other than me being a kid, and it was in high school. And this dude, he had a dark blue trigger, but he took control of that, and I noticed he went into good places after that. So, like... we were coming up and just out of high school, and I noticed that he was a manager of a food joint that he was working at. So he climbed the ladder, and it was almost like maybe he took control of himself a bit more. And when he did that, God kind of blessed him a bit, okay, and kind of put him up the ladder a bit. And it was like, oh, okay, like I saw him again like years later, and we kind of laughed it off. We're like, oh yeah, it's whatever, man. Like, yeah, remember when I speared you against that rock? I'm like, yeah, good thing you didn't beat the crap out of me, because that dude was freaking huge. He was massive. He was a built dude, but he was one of those guys where you're like, this dude in light blue, like, watch out, bro, because like he could have thrown a hook on me, and he could have broke my jaw, okay, and he didn't, okay. This dude, honestly, if I saw him today, I'd probably give him a hug, and he'd probably give me a hug, because we look back on that and we're like, dude, it was over some chick that probably cheated on him. And like, I think I didn't really even date the woman. I just kind of hung out with her. So like, we dated, but we didn't really date. It was like, oh, okay, like whatever, bro, like, it ain't really no big deal. So I don't know what the full story was behind it, but it could have gone a whole different route that night for me, okay. And that dude, he controlled himself, but to the point afterwards where he apologized to me. He apologized to me one time after that. He was like, man, I'm sorry, like, I kind of lost it that night, like, I'm going through some stuff. And like, yeah, bro, you speared me. Like, he got me good too, bro, like a Goldberg spear, like, straight up, like, he hit me hard. And you could tell, I was like, damn, like, you should be playing football, bro. Like, if you played football for high school, like, man, we probably would have taken all the way. And to be honest with you, it was a bit screwed up, man, how it went down. But after that, like, we had a shake on it, and like, I didn't really have any issues with him after that. That was kind of weird, because it was like, I saw his light blue come out and him like charge at me and like hit me, and I think I was probably in like a violet or a blue energy. I was just kind of wandering around at night, bro. It was right after a football game, okay. But I noticed after that, like, we didn't really have no issues. We didn't talk very much, but when he was around, like, I didn't really have no worries about my safety around him. And once he apologized to me, we just shook, and the dude actually leaned in and kind of gave me a pat on the back, and I was like, oh, okay, like, everything was cool. I was a little bit skittish around him, but I was also used to coming up with that type of energy in my household, so I went through some rough shit when I was younger. But when after that, we didn't have no issues. I don't even think he ever really said anything bad about me after that. It was just kind of like, oh, he speared me up against this rock and everything's cool. And I was like, that night though, like, he wasn't like, I can't remember if it was that night he apologized to me or what it was, but I was in some pain, because I was like, damn, like, it was the spirit rock for our school, so it was a massive rock. And I mean, he ran me into it, dude. Like, it was a hard hit, and I was like, shit, bro, like, I thought I was gonna be in for a fight, so I was like, okay, you know, like, first I was like, dude, I don't know what your problem is. And he had brought up the girl, and I was like, dude, like, we ain't even playing that right now. And so it was basically like a mutual thing afterwards, where we just shook and it was cool. Like, there was no problem. But I'm sure he still struggles with that dark seed, and it could be that he repented for it and he dug into the word and he took it out of him. And maybe not too, I don't know, maybe he goes out and he would be a hell of a boxer, bro. But I'm telling you, yeah, he hit me pretty good that night. And so I sat back and I thought about that, not let this case and that is the same thing, because it's far from different. What happened here was an unchecked light blue seed, okay, where this person like drove through a whole bunch of people. This dude that speared me, he checked his seed right after that. Like, he hit me one time and he was like, okay, you know what, like maybe I shouldn't be doing that, like something's wrong there, I shouldn't be doing that. Like, his morality kicked in. And so that's kind of where I saw it between this dude and him, was I was like, he had a light blue seed of anger that was in him. Maybe because I hung out with his ex-girlfriend after they broke up, and he had that seed in check to a point where he wasn't going to go make a foolish decision and, you know, beat the living crap out of me in front of our high school at night, okay? And I think maybe there was something where there was a dude that was with him, calmed down, was like, hold on, you need to chill, but he just kind of stood there and watched and was like, oh, you know, I don't know. Afterwards, it was kind of just like, it wasn't really even a thing. Like, nobody really asked me about it. I think that maybe he kind of avoided me a little bit after that, but it's like, well, yeah, kind of, you know, it's kind of weird. You're around that dude and you're like, oh, I just speared him against a rock like 2 months ago. Like, it makes things a little weird. But when he apologized to me, I was like, you know what, we'll just call it water on the bridge. Like, I'm not tripping on it, because I didn't want to cause some shit and then me go into light blue and then, you know, challenge this dude, and now we have a whole conflict on our hands of possible uncontrolled light blue seeds and all this and this and this, and it's like, then we're going down this huge path, and it was more of like me and him just kind of saw eye to eye, and we're like, okay, like, things could have gotten out of control there over something that wasn't really even relevant. I wasn't even dating the girl after that, so me and her weren't even together. We probably dated for maybe a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month. I mean, it really wasn't much, and it wasn't even to a point of getting physical, bro. It was just getting to know each other, and then we just kind of went our separate ways, and we're like, okay, whatever, you know what I mean? Years down the road, this dude's climbing his way up the ladder, you know, I'm going through my stuff, and that girl's probably married, has kids, and doing her own career. Like, life could have been, that could have been a tragedy if it was an unchecked light blue seed on either side. It could have triggered me into light blue, and I could have turned around and I could have done some serious damage, bro. I could have done something that I would have regretted for the rest of my life, and I'd probably still be behind bars for. He could have too. Either one of us could have. So we both had that in check, where we're like, okay, like, it was almost like he did that and I saw him pop out into like a blue violet. So we were in this energy like right next to each other, and we were like, okay, like, it was almost like we were doing blue violets, like running around, and we were kind of like, what just happened here, bro? Like, hold on a second. And it was almost like I thought he was going to swing on me, but he went to go kind of swing on me, and then he stood back and he's like, no. And I could see, I could see where his morality kicked on in him, because I was like, oh, okay, like, we gonna throw down? It's like 9 o'clock at night, bro. I guess we're gonna throw down. I don't really know what's going on, but to be honest with you, I had a hell of a lot of respect for the dude after he did that, especially after the apology, because that was one where he didn't really have to apologize to me. I mean, he was mad. People usually don't apologize, but I respect that dude a lot, because he actually apologized to me, okay? Despite him going crazy and going Goldberg on me and trying to spirit me and everything, which was crazy. That was one of those high school experiences I was like, that was random, bro. But maybe it happened for a reason, so that I'm dropping this video today. And that could very well be that he, in the face of light blue, this dude on the news was this Doyle guy was a foolish, unchecked seed, whereas he was more wise in his decision to not act on it. He acted on it, but his snake was controlled to a certain extent, okay? Where he wasn't, you know, throwing fists and doing this and swinging at me and throwing shit at me. Like, he wasn't that out of control, okay? And I think a lot of it had to do with probably the female in the situation was probably still jumping back into dynamics with him and causing problems in his head, where she was probably playing some mind games with him, possibly, maybe not. It could just be that maybe he had unchecked anger, and that happens with people, okay? To this day, if I saw him on the side of the road and his car wouldn't start, I would stop and help him out in an instant, bro. I would have no problem with it, okay? And the reason was because after that, I never saw light blue come out of that dude ever again. Well, I mean, I saw the dude get in a fight after that, which I don't remember if he won or not, actually. But beside the point. I remember him getting in a fight one time after that. And I remember him kind of bleeding from his nose a little bit. I don't know what it was over. It was probably somebody he didn't like. But he had an unchecked seed of anger, okay? And it could be that ran in his family, too. So it could be that maybe that's a generational curse for him, okay? Is it maybe his dad and his grandfather and his great-grandfather, they were brawlers, okay? And that very well could be. That he might be the person that broke that generational curse that night. Well, I mean, he got in a fight. I think it was probably like 3 months after that where he got in a fight, and he got up in a fight up in the corner by our school, and I think it was a dude with black hair. I think maybe his name was Alex. I can't remember. I don't usually throw names out there, but this dude though, that speared me. If he were in a boxing match, I'd throw money on him, bro. Like, you got this, homie. Like, especially with a controlled light blue seed like that, you'd be a hell of a boxer, bro. But especially, you can control light blue like that, you're not getting knocked out, okay? You have a less chance of getting knocked out. If you can control light blue, you walk in there light blue, start swinging on somebody, you're gonna gas out and get knocked out quick, bro. Like, it is what it is. Beside the boxing factor, we're kind of moving off topic of this, okay? This dude, his unchecked dark seed, okay, of anger. It could be that maybe this dude has a generational curse too. So we don't know. But there's some people that have uncontrolled anger that it's not that maybe you could see it there as though like my great-grandfather took his anger out in certain ways, and so did the generation and the bloodline after that, okay? And it could be that this dude that that made the wise decision to not continue to act on light blue after that event, that he broke a generational curse in his family bloodline. And that very well could be. It very well could be that he broke a very important generational curse. And then a lot of people would be like, well, you were a victim to it. Not really, bro. Okay? I mean, the thing is like this dude, he was probably like twice, 3 times my size, and he could have beat the shit out of me, bro. Like, he could have, okay? And the thing is too, is I had a lot of anger in me from when I came up as a kid, from what happened to me. I could have easily flipped on a switch and did some serious damage and went, or I could have gassed out and got beat up. You know what I mean? So it's like, to this day, I would help that dude out. If he came around me and he was like, yo, bro, like, you remember that night? I'd probably laugh it off with him. Okay, probably wouldn't have a couple drinks with him and, you know, shoot some pool and you know, beat him in a game of pool and end up fighting with pool sticks. But I'm just... It'll affect a relationship from there forward, but I didn't have any fear or worry of him going light blue again. And I think it was because it was like light blue and then blue violet. Like, we were like, okay, like, what's going on here? Like, hold on a second. Like, we ain't fighting, but you just speared me and everything's cool. You kind of, you know, rock back and you want one. And it's like, not really, bro. Like, I got stuff to do. I don't really want to be walking home, or, you know, bleeding nose, or I'm swinging on you, and I don't want that reputation either, you know. I don't want to look like a fool to people where it's like, okay, we got in this fight over what, you know, over a girl. Like, come on. Like, and I don't really know exactly what caused his morality to kick in. It could have been the surprised look on my face, or it could have been that I actually hit that rock really hard. Because my back actually did take a shot to that rock. I was young enough, it really didn't matter, okay? My back injuries came from a car accident, came from different things that happened to me after that. So, to be honest with you, like, it was a hard hit, but I was young enough. Dude, I was skateboarding stuff. I was jumping down like 5 and 6 stairs with skateboards, sometimes landing on my back, bro. So, like, I was used to stuff like that, where I was taking beatings. When I was young, I was dumb when I was skateboarding and doing stuff like that, okay? So, I wasn't sitting back and saying that I was a victim by any means, okay? Was I exposed to it? Yeah. I was exposed to light blue, but I wasn't a victim of it, okay? My childhood, otherwise, there's certain instances in life where you're a victim from light blue, or you are a bystander, or you experienced it, and it's based upon varying degrees, okay, of what happened. Some people who experience light blue, they don't survive it. So there's a scale there, okay? And realistically, something bad could have happened that night. But when it came down to it, I love that dude, okay? I love him. And the thing was, he was a really good dude with a good character and good soul on him, okay? He just had a seed of anger. And the thing is, I knew that he had... I knew he had it checked when I saw that he was climbing the ladder in his work. Where he was working, he was climbing the ladder, and I was like, this dude, he got it under control. You could kind of tell in his face where he was in red energy, and I was like, you kind of figured it out, okay? Like, and I think maybe he was a red-green to begin with, okay? And, you know, any color energy can go into light blue, bro. It doesn't matter who you are. You can be triggered into light blue, okay? But when I saw it, and I see this here, I see a wise man, okay? I see a man that was a lot more wise than this person was. They acted on a foolish decision, and it basically, it caused their whole life. His whole life is ruined. He admitted it himself. My whole life is ruined. 134 victims, and it was people that got pinned under cars. There was kids there. It wasn't good. Okay, so what do I say about this dude? Okay, well, you think about it. He's what, 54 years old, bro, and you just got what, 21 years and 6 months. Like, you basically just threw your outside life out the window, bro. And that's something that, if you've been betrayed heavily like I have, okay, and you've had a lot of your life wasted and time wasted, you've been lied to and this and that, be grateful you didn't make a decision that put you in that position where you can't turn it around. Okay, I'm out here and I'm making something happen where I'm able to do that because I didn't make a foolish decision and act on light blue, you know, based upon all this betrayal. I acted in a way that God would want me to handle it. Okay, and I think that was how the dude from high school with me thought of it, even if it was not inherently, but I think it was probably more morality. I don't know if he has a Christian belief for that type of thing, but I think it was more of his morality where he was like, you know what, bro, like, I always liked the dude. I always thought he was cool. So it was almost like we had this like light blue flash energy, and then wait a second, like, we're human beings here, like, we ain't trying to go all, you know, light blue gorilla on each other. Like, what are we doing here? Because I was also sitting there kind of looking around and I'm like, I ain't got nobody with me and you got a homie with you, so it's like, am I fighting both of you or like what's going on? So like, I wasn't light blue, I was more of in violet, like sitting back going, okay, this dude over here is in yellow, this dude's in light blue, and then he like popped into a blue, and then he went violet and I went blue, and then blue and violet blue, and then we kind of just like walked away. And he was still pissed after that, like he was probably flicking into green and doing that type of thing. But I don't think it was more than what, maybe 2 days? 2 days later that he came up to me and he was like, I'm sorry about that, man. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he said something like, I let my anger get out of control. And I was like, no, I was like, you're okay. It's like, it's you know, it was checked. Like you put that in check. And that was where I respected him as a man a lot more, where I respected him as a human being a lot more, where I was like, that dude, I respect wise decisions, I always have, but there was something about that situation where it made me reflect on myself, and I was like, you know what, maybe he actually helped me out through that situation, where he was an example for me, where I got, you know, I went through a lot in my even later years, and I look back on that, even if it was just in the back of my mind, and went, you know what, like, almost like he set an example for me where it was like, don't act on it because, you know, then this and this and this. So the wisdom that was in him to stop and not go full bore on me and then to apologize to me, it stuck with me. And so I think that's why I respect that man so much. So until then, what I gotta tell you is, if you do have anger issues, avoid drinking, avoid substances, reach into the Word of God and remove those seeds. All right, until next time, Lone Wolf, peace out, yo.